Hi, hello, it's Nikki, and welcome to my messy bookshelf. We are only about 2 weeks until the end of 2025, and I have been thinking a lot about my goals for 2026 when it comes to reading. So I thought today that I would share what I have come up with for myself for my personal reading goals for 2026. I have made a list here in my planner, and I would like to share them with you. So if you are interested in that, I know I love watching other people's goals, reading goals, fitness goals, and stuff like that. So if you are interested, please stay tuned because that is what I am doing today. So my first goal for 2026, it seems like kind of a cop-out, but my first goal is to be gentle with myself this year. I always set myself a number goal for books to read in a year, and normally I meet or surpass that goal with no problem. But what I don't want to be beating myself up because I don't make a certain goal. I know, for instance, this year I had a goal and I was starting to get worried that I wasn't meeting that number. And looking back, I realized I may have set a certain number goal, but I also read several very, very massive books. So, yeah, I probably could have read like 50 more books than I did read, but I also read a lot of good books that were very big. So I'm trying not to beat myself up this year with the numbers. And yeah, that is a big goal for me. Another one is events. I don't want to be stressing myself out over events and themes for the month and things like that. I do want to still try to participate in events that are going on, and usually that's not really an issue. However, I don't want to feel like I did this year where I was missing some events because of life things that were going on. So that is my first goal, is being more gentle with myself and being more lenient with myself and being more kind to myself, because like I said, I could sit here and beat myself up because I am a couple of books short from the number that I had set myself, but then I wouldn't have read some of the huge, massive books that I actually very much enjoyed. So yeah, that's my first goal. My next one is regarding classics, and that is always something that is a goal of mine. I always aim to try and get at least one classic read a month. But I don't typically have like a huge issue with that, but sometimes I'm not in the mood for classics. However, this year, for 2026, I am enrolled in an English program, so I don't think that I will have an issue with that. So I'm not going to stress myself out over which classics I want to read and I'm going to read, because I sort of feel like a lot of that will be taken care of with my curriculum for school. So in case you didn't know, I recently retired from my job in the military, and now I am enrolled in school full time. So I think that the classics will be taken care of in that. But again, I'm not going to stress myself out to read certain ones. There are some that I still very much want to read, but I also want to focus a lot on my curriculum. So there's that. In terms of diversity, another goal of mine, I feel like I don't typically have an issue reading diverse books. I do gravitate towards them very often. But for diversity this year, I am participating in Ellen's challenge. Last year, I remember I participated, but I kind of joined in a little late. And this year, I had a little bit of time to plan, and I do have an area that I would like to focus on. And that is reading from countries that I have never read before, because I don't have an issue reading translated works or reading from other countries than my own. However, I tend to sort of get stuck in, certain countries that I enjoyed the books from, and I will read more from those countries or whatever the topic is. So I would like to read more diversely within the diverse books that I am reading. So if that makes sense, yes, I would like to read from places that I have never read from before. So moving on to, I know this is a goal that so many people have. I would like to be, like I said, number one was being more gentle with myself. The monthly book buying bans, reading what you own, and using the library more. That, of course, is a goal of mine. I know, if I am honest with myself, I will never stick to a year-long book buying ban. I will likely get some gift cards here for the holidays, and it's just something that brings me a lot of joy, is shopping for books. However, and again, I also, when I do stay out myself, I typically do take my youngest, my daughter, to the bookstore when she wants to buy a series or something. So I'm never going to be completely out of the bookstores. So I would like to set certain months where I do book buying bans. I will not do that for January, but I think that I would like to do that for February. So not buying any books, reading more of what I own, but I also, because I do have more time and not odd hours of work, it is more feasible for me to make it to the library more often, because in the past several years I have worked very odd shifts and it's often inconvenient to make it to the library and browse. So I'm thankful my daughter is a very avid user of her school library, but now we will be able to make it to the library more often. So doing that, doing monthly book buying bans, and monthly read what you own. So that is a big goal of mine. But again, I know that I could never do it for a full year. So maybe in the future, maybe next year, or, we'll see. But I know that I'd be lying if I said I wasn't going to buy any books for the whole year. So moving on to being more intentional with the nonfiction that I read. I have had a goal this past year to read one nonfiction book a month, and I was going pretty steady. I think I did a fairly good job with that. I don't think I completed that goal every single month, but I'm pretty proud with where I was. But I would like to be more intentional with the types of nonfiction that I do read. I think that I would like to tailor what nonfiction I am reading around the fiction that I am reading, so that I can kind of get a whole scope of information that will support what I'm reading in fiction as well. Recently did this when I was reading Nuclear War and The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and just the pairing of that, some actual factual information from one book combined with the other book that I was reading that was fiction, I thought it complemented each other very well, and that is a very big goal of mine. I tend to read a lot of nonfiction in very specific genres. If you've been here before, you know I read a lot of seafaring and adventure type nonfiction, so I would like to branch out and support what I am reading with the nonfiction that I am reading. I would like to still aim for one a month, but again, with my first goal being gentle with myself, I am not going to beat myself up about this. So this whole year of 2026, it seems like my goal is to kind of be gentle and be kind to myself. So my next one is completing series. So I did come across a really cool challenge for 2026 on another channel that I was watching from Coffee, Cookies, and Books, where it is a series completion challenge. So completing all the series you own instead of starting new series. Again, if I am being honest with myself, I have several book ones on my shelf, so I don't think that I could promise to not start a new series. However, I would like to finish series that I already own, that I have already started. One series in particular that I have been wanting to finish for a while, and that I think this will give me the kick in the butt that I need, is A Wheel of Time. I did make it almost halfway through that series. I think I finished book 6. There's 13 books, I believe, in the series, so I would like to make a dent in that series. I don't know if reading all of the rest of the series is very feasible because they are chunkers. They are massive books. However, I do think that it would be a good idea to sort of incorporate those into the events that I do participate in, such as March of the Mammoths and Big Book Summer. So I think that would be a good way to still participate in some of the events that I really enjoy on BookTube, and pairing it with a challenge that I am setting for myself, and that I got the idea from someone else here on BookTube. A Wheel of Time is one that comes to mind specifically because I do have some of the next books already on my shelf, and it is one of the few books that myself and my husband have both read. So I recommended the series for him, or to him, and he got further along than I did. So yes, I would like to continue reading some of the same stuff as him so that we can discuss. Very few books do we both read the same of, so that would be nice. And moving on, I would like to read more of the books that I am gifted, and I feel very guilty about not reading some of the books that I have been gifted. I have a couple on my shelf that either it took me forever to read or I still haven't read. And I was gifted a couple of books for going away when I did retire this past month. So I have a couple of gifted books, and if people are gifting you books or, recommending you books and giving it to you, it means that they're thinking about you and they think that you would like it. So I don't know why I've always had an issue with reading gifted books, but again, that is a goal of mine. So someone spent the money or thought of you enough to pass on a book to you. So yes, that is a goal of mine for 2026. I would at least like to make a dent in those books, and they are good books. So my last goal that I have here is keeping up with my book journal. I did very well in the first half, maybe 3/4 of the year, and I really loved what I was doing because I had tried something new, and I was actually, I'll show you here an example. I was printing out the book cover and just writing. You can see my biggest entry is for Moby Dick. Really enjoyed that, but it was very fun to have the book cover and actually write stuff about it. But I see that I fell off somewhere in the summer here. You can see, but it was just a very fun way to document what I was reading and write my thoughts as I was reading the books. And like I said, I kind of fell off here. So it was very fun while I was doing it, and I think that I would like to do a better job with that because I have plenty of stationery and notebooks, and it was a good way for me to remember why I felt certain ways about books, because I know that all of you can probably relate to the fact that some books you just don't remember why you liked it. You just remember that you liked it, or why you didn't like a certain book. So I would like to, like I said, get better at that. But again, these are some pretty generic goals, but I did not want to stress myself out this year, especially with starting a new program in school. I did not want to stress myself out this year. I wanted to read for enjoyment because that is the whole reason that I read books, and that is the whole reason I started a channel. So I'm sure some of you can relate to that feeling, but again, just a quick video sharing my goals for 2026. And again, goals change, and I may find myself very stressed out with school and whatnot come May, but we'll see. So I thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.